I need you to take out your checklist and open it up to welcome. And the first thing I'm going to show you is a video. It's a real kind of one of those, it almost looks like one of those, it almost looks like one of those evangelical Baptist churches. You know what I mean? It does not look, but once again, it's kind of one of those videos that has an impact, and I tried to take it out of my presentations, and then I had all these young families say, don't take this out of your presentation. But before I show it, because I mentioned young, and it just kind of reminds me, I was having a conversation with my table mates here, and I was telling them that, you know, little bitty small congregations, I created this material so that a little small congregation can use it and a cathedral can use it, right? So that's just kind of how it is. You pull what works for you in your context and just kind of leave the rest. It's an old Al-Anon thing. And I told the story about a number of years ago, I went to Arizona and I'd done some work for the diocese, and there was a little church, little I say, outside of Tucson in a retirement area, but it was a lot of people on a Sunday, 350, 400 people on a Sunday. The average age is 75. There are 0 young families in that church. There are 0 children in that church. So what I say to those churches and those people that lament all the time, oh, we can't do anything because we just don't have young families and young children. I say, nah, because you can do it. You know, you can be violent and vibrant and thriving with the average age of 75. And then Karen here says, you know, I got to read what she said. She said, we can back off the anxiety about the age of our own congregation. That was really good. I said, that's good, I like that. We can back off the anxiety. Okay, so anyway, here's this little video, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Look, watch it very carefully. It goes real fast, or you'll miss the point. Nobody has it all together. Okay, all right, so, I didn't mean to jump to that one, but I guess that's just the way it is. Okay, so look at your checklist, open up your checklist, and at the very, very beginning, it says, first impressions, greeting message on church voicemail. Here's the thing, because look at John, raise your hand. John was on the diocesan staff of the Diocese of Louisiana when I was down there in New Orleans doing this work years ago. And I had them, do your creative time. You come back. When they came back, this one lady from this church, she says, Mary, we just listened to our greeting message on our voicemail, and the lady that's on there has been dead several years. And nobody ever paid attention to any of that thing. So I'm glad you were here, John. Remind me to tell that story. So Pew Research, here it says, among U.S. adults who have looked for a new congregation, house of worship, the percentages say the factor that played an important role in their choice. All right, quality of sermons, clergy, that's up to you. Number 2 is feeling welcomed. Feeling welcome, look at that percentage, 79%. So the next one, we might want to turn up just a little bit, John, if you're in the room, because this is a young woman, really young. She's the youngest person who's ever really come to one of these workshops, and I was in the Diocese of Colorado, and she comes up to me afterwards to tell me the story. So what did I do? I pulled out my phone. Okay, listen to the story of how she came to be at this church.
My name is Liv Hornsby. I go to Good Shepherd Episcopal Church, and I came here with my youth leader to the Invite Welcome Connect session, and it's been awesome. I think that the key to making people feel welcome at church is the kids. I took my mom to church and I felt welcome, and now we're both members there. And I'm only a senior in high school, and I was a freshman when I first joined. There is a little girl who went to music with a mission. She was in second grade, I think, and she ended up driving her 2 parents and her brother to church the next Sunday, and now they're all members. And I think that key is making the kids feel welcome, because if the kids are welcome, then the rest of the family feels welcome as well.
There you go. If the kids feel welcome, the rest of the family will feel welcome as well. All right, so look at the list. Look, somebody said very true. All right, so look at your list. The next thing on the list is road signage, okay? Road signage and our banners. And this one is, that really is a picture of a church sign, and it's really kind of sad, but here's one of the quotes. We've learned that one of the greatest shortcomings is failure to market yourself, but marketing yourself really, I don't think about it being signage, but it's the truth. Here are some over the years. Some people had used banners. Our church was kind of tucked back in near a school at St. Stephen's, and we used banners in these different churches. That one down on the right is the St. Martin's, the one that had the crazy Facebook thing down in Williamsburg. And their church is down like in a little hollow. You can't even see it. So they've got these signs out there so that you can see it. And here's one that I just picked up just a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not sure even where this is, but somebody sent it to me. But I like it. Welcome regardless. The Episcopal Church welcomes you. Here are a couple of banners that are really kind of cool from different churches that have sent them to me over the years. The one on the left, All Souls. Is that's in D.C.?
Yes.
Okay. How about, somebody sent that to me. So look at that, love your neighbor, so you can see what all it says. The one on the right is immigrants and refugees. I don't know where that one comes from either. I guess I need to know. Here's San Mateo, and I just pulled this off of your website. It's pretty cool, and really colorful, and I really like it. And then this is another one. Is this in your diocese too, right? St. Timothy's, and you've got this regular sign over there. You've also got the banner out front, which is really nice. Now this one, Diocese of Louisiana. And a canon to the ordinary went to that diocese, and that canon was showing this person around. He sends me this. He says, Mary, don't say where this church is. This was an Episcopal church. They drove up to it. You could not see the sign because of the antique roses. Can y'all see that? Yeah. Anyway, we sure don't want, I love antique roses, but you don't want to have that. Okay, so the next thing on here is facilities inside and out, designated guest parking. Some churches just kind of need designated guest parking. These come from a church in Delaware. One of them is kind of different, reserved for newcomers and visitors. The other one reserved for special needs. And they had, which I thought was really pretty cool. These are some new ones. One is Covington, Louisiana, the parking reserve for those in need of a shorter walk. I love that, sorry. And the next one is, this one comes from Hingham. Tim Skank sent that to me in Hingham, Massachusetts. Welcome, I love it. People at prayer, children at play, souls at rest. Please drive gently. So, I mean, they're just creative, you know, be creative. Okay, back to your list. Interior signage, and these are just clearly marked entryways, walkways, map of the facility. So I know Ledley Laughlin, the rector here, I'm gonna give him a hard time because we had to put up a big old sign out there that said restrooms, you know? And so there's a lot of great stuff that they do here. And I said, you know, that was just kind of one of those things because if you don't know where the restrooms are, you don't know where the restrooms are, right? And so we, you know, just that interior signage is really important. These are just some banners. And then if you keep going down, you've got nursery, restrooms. Then I have greeting and welcoming. And there's a thing here on welcome team members and having a mix of your greeters and your ushers, depending on the size church you have. If you have both greeters and ushers that are the same, just make sure that they have that kind of welcoming spirit and would be willing to really welcome people that come in. Clergy welcome. I have this clergy welcome on here, words of welcome, because, and over the ideas and resources, I have some suggestions for that. Because I have literally been to church services where the clergy said 0 about the visitors in the room. So you clergy out there, you know, make sure that you have some words of welcome for the people that are there for the first time or that are visiting. And then the next thing on here is like a welcome information table, kind of kiosk. The one on the left is at the cathedral in Long Island. The one on the right, I'm heading up there, when I'm going up there, it's September, to Michigan, for the Diocese of Michigan. That particular church is, Chris Harris is the associate rector there, and it's Christ Church Cranbrook. So they, in their parish hall, they have these two signs. One sort of a welcome table, and one is a kind of connect table to connect people. These are just some welcome tables from around the country. Then the one on the right is outside the church in Beverly Hills, California. And let me just speak to this right quick. When I went out to Beverly Hills, they were in an interim time, but they wanted to have a host me for all the churches in that area, the Diocese of LA. And there was a man on the vestry there who came up to me afterwards, and he is real active in the, you know, the theater community in LA. And he said, Mary, you know, I have a friend of mine has built restaurants in New York City. And he came down here to LA to put the same, you know, brand restaurant down here. And he said, so he pulled his team together for the restaurant employees and staff. And he says, what's really interesting about it is I had to teach them how to be friendly. You know, and he said, you don't think about that. I said, well, because you know, I had talked about how you have to teach Episcopalians sometimes how to be welcoming. This is in St. James Cathedral after they did the Invite, Welcome, Connect in Chicago. After they did the Invite, Welcome, Connect work, and we had changed the in ministry, you know, the Connect Essential, we had changed it to belonging. They said, you know, you're not just welcome, you belong. Okay, so then I come to name tags. And these are just a scattering of name tags that we had used over the years. The little one in the middle up there, we used a little pill-off name tag. The Ask Me name tags over here. Patrick Gahan, when he wound up going to Christ Church San Antonio, they still had this. Some retired men made that rolling thing so that they could put it outside. So when you came in, you just peeled off your name tag, put it on. And I noticed they've got up here, they've got the pins. I need to take a picture of their name tags here. And let me just tell you something about the name tags. Here's the thing. As with any of this material, anything in Invite, Welcome, Connect, I am not going to tell you what you have to do. I am not going to tell you that you need to do all this stuff. You know, as I said, you need to do what works for you, what works for your congregation, what works for your context and your culture, okay? What I don't want you doing is this, though. I go to this little small church in the Diocese of Central Gulf Coast a number of years ago, and I was invited to go to church there. So I go to church, A couple of people had name tags on. I go back in the parish hall, so everybody was in the service, the little church was filled up. I go back in the parish hall, look to my left, and this was on the wall. So here's the thing. If you're not going to use your name tag, if you're not going to wear them, do something else with that wall. And just don't do them. So either do them or don't do them. And so I don't prescribe. I don't say you have to do this. We kind of liked it. Patrick kind of liked it because it kind of helped him, learn people's names. There was one person that said, Stevens, that said he'd been worshiping on the same row with that lady for so many years. He had no idea what her name was. So the next thing on here is newcomer welcome gift, newcomer information packet, welcome gift. And last night, Jennifer asked me this question, and it just kind of caught me off guard, and I wasn't sure how to answer it. And she said, what are the regional differences? And there's tons of regional differences with Invite, Welcome, Connect, and with the Episcopal Church all over the world. We're all different, right? One of those differences is that there were some churches up in New England that would never give a welcome gift, right? Would never think of giving any sort of gift to somebody that came to visit. And so this is another one of those things. You've got these on your table, and of course it still has Sewanee on the background because I swear I had like 5,000 of these printed, and I'm just going to use them, even though we're not there anymore. But I was, when little Ike was really small and still on the ventilator, I went up one July 4th to a little July 4th, it's a little tiny township. They had a little July 4th parade. Well, the little Baptist, it probably wasn't Southern Baptist, whatever, were walking around handing everybody at that little parade the fans with the name of the church, their youth group on the back. And so I started collecting them. In the South, we call them funeral fans because all the funeral homes, they do that up here too. Okay, there you go. See, and so I have been collecting funeral fans. So if you find any really unique funeral fans, or if your church makes one of these, I have this whole beautiful little bouquet now of fans. So that's what these are. They're just fans, and you can give them as a welcome gift. The little thing on the right, I really don't have any more of those, but I got the idea from, and this is all on the website, it was the cathedral up in Minneapolis. And it's these little things that you put on the back of your phone or on your computer, and you peel it off and you can clean the front of your phone with it. And y'all can come look at them. I think I have one extra over here. I think in my purse I have one or two extra ones. The first one's to me gets it. Anyway, so that's sort of an idea. And they were giving them out to, when they first had them printed, they had 500 printed, and they made an announcement one Sunday. If you want to be a little evangelist for our church, come pick up one of these, and nobody wanted them because they didn't want to be an evangelist, right? But anyway, so it's just kind of a welcome gift. When I went to Pohick, remember the guy that talked about the goulash video? So Pohick is the church where George Washington grew up as a child. And when he became president, he was on the vestry there. That's how old Pohick is. Their tradition is to make apple butter. So they make apple butter in this little tiny, tiny jar. They put this scripture on it, and they give this out to anybody that comes and visits their church. So it's kind of Transfiguration in Dallas, Texas. They make fig jam. They make little things of fig jam, and they give their fig jam out to people that come and visit. So then when I went to Hawaii, so the Diocese of Hawaii had to come right before COVID, and I went up to Kauai and I did some work up there for that whole, the Episcopal churches on the island of Kauai, and then I went down and the rest of the diocese came into Honolulu. And y'all, this is what they gave me. Of course, the one on the right with the real flowers is what they gave me when I got off the airplane. But the ones on the left is a little small church in Kauai. And the ladies in the church get together and crochet these little leis. And that's what they give out to people that come visit, these little crochet leis. And the reason I show you all of this, here's one more. The left is just some M&Ms, That's from a little church, tiny church up in Aspen, Colorado. And the one on the right is, this is St. Matthew's and in Wilmington, Delaware. St. Matthew and, anyway. It's right in Wilmington, Delaware, downtown Wilmington. They give those little prayer squares out. And so they're all over the place, like I said. Now, go back to your checklist, and I have something about kid bags. And it says, you know, key to newcomers, we welcome your children here. These are just some examples of some of the things over the years. Some of the churches have like a little quiet area in the back of their church for little children's tote bags to give them something to do. I have a thing on here about the worship bulletin, and I say, you know, your bulletin needs to be simple, newcomer friendly. If you don't use insider language, unless you're going to have a teachable moment with it. You know, don't put EYC unless you're going to say what that is. And then I have hospitality afterwards. And then if you keep going, there you come to, what's next? Here we go, clergy follow-up, okay? Clergy follow-up. So, the video I'm getting ready to show you, I was down in the Diocese of West Texas a number of years ago, and once again, a little lady came up to me, and I pulled my phone out, and I need you to listen to what she had to say, and it's all about clergy follow-up, okay?
Go. Hi, I'm Joyce Merritt, and my husband and I moved to San Antonio in July 2014. We were looking for an Episcopal church, and we went to another church, and something didn't fit. Anyway, we came to St. George, and we thought it was a nice church, and the rector, Ram Lopez, has a little spiel during the announcements, and he said, I don't know why you're here, but I know who brought you here. And I thought, well, that's a lovely thing to say. And he's also said that he would call us. That afternoon, we were doing something and the phone rang. I didn't recognize the name or the number of the phone. And I picked up the phone and it was Ram. And he said, hi, it's Ram Lopez. I'm just calling to say welcome to St. George. And if there's anything I can do to help you, I would be happy to do so. I was shocked. I handed the phone to my husband. He spoke to Ram. And then when my husband put the phone down, we looked at each other, and for the first time ever in our history of going to new churches, and we've been to a lot of new churches because we lived all over the States and in France, this is the first rector who's ever called us. And we were, as the English say, gobsmacked.
We were gobsmacked. Okay, so I have phone call or text or email because one of my young clergy in Texas, when I first started working on this, Jimmy Abbott, he was like 29 at the time. He says, Mary, I'm not going to call anybody. He said, I'll text them. You know, so you've got to, as once again, I'm not telling clergy what you've got to do, just do something. And then I've got handwritten note on here. And I'm a real big believer in handwritten notes. There's a great book called The Art of the Handwritten Note. And I taught my daughter how to write thank you notes. She taught her children how to write thank you notes. I mean, when was the last time you got a handwritten note in the mail or a handwritten letter in the mail from anybody? So I'm really big on handwritten thank you notes. So this just was recently on a CBS Sunday morning show, and I love that show. And this is a recent, very recent post. 37% of Americans say it's been over 5 years since they've written and mailed a personal letter. I'm surprised it's not more. 22% of Americans under the age of 45 have never written or mailed a personal letter. So the last things on the list, keep going down, and I have training, education, administrative support, ongoing training. I have flow charts, because when I started really developing this out, one of my pilot churches was St. Francis in Houston, and what they did for their vestry, because it's a pretty big church, so they would do a flow chart. What are we going to do with Invite, Welcome, Connect, so that the vestry coming on board would know. Then this is another one. This is Calvary Episcopal at, I think it's up in Dallas. The next one I'm going to show you, a priest called me from the Diocese of West Texas, and he says, Mary, he'd come to one of these workshops. He says, one of my new members is a retired lieutenant colonel, and he decided he wanted to be in charge of the flow charts for what we're doing with Invite, Welcome, Connect. He came up with a Invite, Welcome, Connect OCD chart. Yeah, and this is on the website, like it's just a copy of it. So it's There you go. And then, here we go. Check this out. So, I have on here, Mystery Worshipers Audit is the very last thing. And the reason I have Mystery Worshipers Audit, so someone called me years back. It was a company wanting me to recommend them to send that they would hire, the church would hire them to come be a mystery worshiper. And I'm going, I'm not going to do that. You can get your Methodist neighbor down the street to come be a mystery worshiper, you know, and just kind of look at the list and tell you if you're really being greeted or not, you know, or you're being welcomed or whatever. But then, so I don't do that. But then what I do though is tell you that I'm going to have you do one thing, and then we're going to move into creative idea time. I'm going to have you do a little bit of stand up and do a little bit of role play. But I want to just tell you what I'm going to have you do, what I want you to do. I want you to greet someone else either at your table or pick somebody that you don't know in the room, as if you are greeting them tomorrow morning when you're at church and someone comes in and you don't know who they are, or you're welcoming them or whatever, what you say to them. Because for years and years, the whole 10 years I was on staff at St. Stephen's, I would be out there in front with what I call my bag ladies. I've changed that now, and I'd have a little bag of homemade cookies or whatever, and you know, I'd greet people. And so at one point, and this really did happen, I greeted this woman, you know, hi, welcome to St. Stephen's, and she said, my dear, I have been a member of this church my entire life. I was baptized here. And I wanted to say back, my little inner demon wanted to say, well, honey, I hadn't seen you in 5 years. So I've learned to change what I said because I don't want to put people on the defensive. So I changed it to, hi, I'm Mary Palmer. Have we met? You know, so you just got to figure out what you can say that you're comfortable saying so that you're not putting somebody else on the defensive. So we're going to do a little tiny bit of role play. I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes. Take turns with another person, how you would like to greet someone in the morning. And the other person, let them know if you're putting you on the defensive or not. Okay, get up, do it right now.